She's a daughter of the great George Washington, the enigmatic George Washington, top class.
George Washington turned heads whenever he appeared on a racecourse, so when his only yearling entered the sales ring at Tattersalls on Wednesday evening, every nook and vantage point was taken for what was truly a one-off event.
160, 180, 180, how about 200,000, 200,000, 200,000, George Washington, little girl, at 200.
When the hammer fell, the filly was gone for 320,000 guineas, purchased by agent Ross Doyle to be put into training with Richard Hannon.
320,000, Ross Doyle.
That represented a profit for Gleedorn Stud, who purchased her as a foal, and relief after weeks of media interest.
Thrilled with the price, and we're thrilled with the people who bought her, and she's gone to a very good home, and we wish them every success.
How much of a relief is it, Jerry, to get her to the sales in one piece and sold
A huge relief to get her here and get her into the ring safely, and so yes, it is a relief. Yeah.
And she's you've said before, she's a lady in herself and very confident.
Yes, yeah, and she gave us no trouble the whole way through, you know, and I really do think she could be very special.
It must be a privilege having...
It has been a privilege to have been associated with her, and it's been a privilege to be able to sell her in that ring.
It caps a remarkable year for both Hannon and father and son buying team Peter and Ross Doyle, between them responsible for the likes of Camford Cliffs, Dick Turpin and Monsieur Chevalier.
Yeah, it was great now. I mean, I've been with Richard now, associated with Richard for 20 years. So it's longer than most marriages, I think. And we get on great, and he's a very supportive man, great team effort, with a great team down there with him and Richard, his son Richard, and all the rest of the people in East Everley and Heritage House. And I'm lucky to have my wife Anna and Ross, and we all work in the business, and we pick the horses together, and 5 or 6 of us, and that's it.
Obviously that's affected your spending, or has it? Do these clients spend around the same bargain purchases, or are they doubly investing? How does it work?
Well, we always like to buy a horse at a certain level rather than giving too much for them. And but it depends on the individual, the type of horse that we like. He can come at 15,000, or he can come at 115,000.
The George Washington filly will race in the colours of Julie Wood, reinvesting part of her winnings with Lucky General in the Goffs Million sales race. With Tattersalls restructuring their Million series and the additional prize money of the Racing Post Yearling bonus scheme, there was much talk of their impact on the market.
It's hard to talk about prize money specifically, but for example, I've got a client that I'm trying to buy for here and haven't done yet, who specifically wants to buy a filly to aim at the races, the Tattersalls races here. And that is a very nice incentive. And when you actually narrow it down to trying to buy a nice filly that's going to be sharp enough to try and win a 2-year-old race over 6 furlongs in June, July, and head into the sales series, it's not that easy. So there is one person who has very much been positively affected by what's on offer.
Yeah, and you'd rather have several pots as opposed to the one.
Without any doubt about it. And in fact, this client we bought a 2-year-old for at the Breeze Up sales here. He won one of the £10,000 bonuses. And so, once you've got that £10,000 coming through the mailbox, it's pretty attractive to say, look, let's go and have another go.
Yeah, and hopefully that's the same with the Racing Post.
Yeah, I think that this is only going to have its best effect next year when all the bonuses are being won.
Yeah.
It's hard to know what effect it's having now. It's certainly not having a negative effect. It must be having some positive effect. But I think from the breeder's point of view, I would be saying, keep the faith. We've all got to do it again this year. There hasn't been a show of unity in our business like this almost forever, perhaps. It's quite extraordinary the levels that people have gone. I've said to a number of people, the £500 that we've all been putting up per horse is a sacrifice. But times are tough, and we've all got to sacrifice and do our bit. And I think it's absolutely extraordinary what has happened. But I do think that the most positive effects will be seen next year once all those £10,000 bonuses are being won and enjoyed.
The sales races in Ireland were very good. I mean, when it was the right time for them. And we were lucky to win 3 million races there now, and we were first and second in 2 of them. And now we have to target the Tattersalls Millions, which is a different format, but it's a very, very good format. And we're trying, spreading it, and I mean, over distant trips, a mile, 7 furlongs, 6 furlongs. And we've bought a few horses now this week, hopefully that we can target those races with. If we're lucky, if they're fast enough, they'll get there. They'll go there. Yeah.
And on that note, the Racing Post bonus, has that impacted on your
I think the racing post bonus is one of the best thought out ideas for a long time. It's particularly the way the prize money here is, unfortunately, in England. And I mean, if you won't see the benefit of it properly until next year. But when you find the owner who wins a 3,000 or 2,000 to the winner 2-year-old maiden race, and he gets a 10,000 extra bonus, it's fantastic, I think. And it's a great way the racing post has supported it, and all the vendors and the sales companies, and we give it our full backing.
We can have every different scheme going, but it is the only thing that's going to work is prize money.
Do you think the yearling bonuses and the new million series, the new structure to the million series, is going to make any difference to next year?
I think the million structure is fantastic. I think the more we can spread that around, the better. The Racing Post bonus scheme, I think that's to be seen yet. It's a very good concept. Again, it's owners and breeders putting in money, and probably bookmakers and race courses are going to benefit from it. So I'm a little bit worried how that's funded, really, to be perfectly honest.
As in, it's a vendor scheme as opposed to...
Owners and breeders, to be perfectly honest, nearly prop up racing in England, and we're being asked to put up money again. I don't think any sort of vendor objects to putting money into a scheme that's going to help us out, and I think hopefully it will help us out, but I'm a little bit dubious about it at the moment.
460, I celebrate, and 1,460, thank you very much indeed.
Once again, the top end of the market was supported heavily by both the Mactooms and Coolmore. Acting on behalf of Sheikh Mohammed, John Ferguson signed for a 650,000 guinea filly by Pivotal. For John Magnier and his team, there was another 650,000 guinea lot, a colt by Galileo.
Very good looking son of Invincible Spirit.
As with Goffs last week, this sale has managed to stand up to very difficult market conditions. And as important as the two major powers in racing have been, there was stiff competition from other buyers.
Come on, lads, there's a small gap to fill at 280,000.
A catalogue of this quality does bring the biggest buyers in the world out in force, and they've really responded. They bought some smashing horses, I think, but they've been joined by a lot of other people as well. There's plenty of action in that top level, and it's not just a couple of camps fighting away. There's depth to the top end buyer base here.
While many lots by the likes of Galileo, Shamadel, Pivotal and Oasis Dream sold well, there was also a big payday for Captain Rio, whose half-sister to Alfred Nobel made 400,000 guineas for Lodge Park stud. As always, there was a lot of interest in sires, who were new to the market, with almost as many opinions as to which might prove most successful.
I think from the Dali camp, Ifraj, they look very racy little horses. And sprinters, so for your average breeder, I think he's probably going to be a nice horse this year. And Coolmore, the Holy Roman Empire, they seem to be nice horses. If a little bit, they might need a more scopy type of mare, but they're very neat, very correct racing looking horses. So I'd expect they're the two that I would sort of tip for next year.
Kodiak getting very nice horses, sharp 2-year-old types, I must say. I'm very pleased with him. And Sleeping Indian. Yes, okay. He's a lovely horse himself.
Yes. And
his stock are nice, and he was a good racehorse. And I liked his stock as well. Very good.
I'd have to be very positive about Hurricane Run. Across the board so far, he's had a lot of nice horses, and they're not going to be 2-year-olds in the main, I don't suspect, but a lot of them seem to have class and perhaps a little more substance than the Mangeurs, and I'd be pretty positive about him. Holy Roman Emperor, I think they look like they're going to be, precocious like he was. I suppose so far those are the horses that have caught my eye.
But as the first crops from the likes of Holy Roman Emperor and Ifraj come to the market, there was also space in the catalogue for the last progeny from the Great Sadler's Wells, including this colt out of Jude, a mating which has previously produced the likes of Yesterday and Quarter Moon. It would seem, as ever, owners will pay for proven quality.